To make an apple pie, you need to peel some apple. Then slice them. That's how it will be. And then you mix them with lemon juice so they retain their color. After that, you have to slice them further so that they are about 2 millimeter in thickness. These are all now nice and thinly sliced, as you can see. And the next bit that we are going to do is put a lot of sugar and sprinkle it with plain flour. The plain flour is so that the sauce thickens when it cooks, and the sugar is so that it draws out the nice all the juices out of the apple. Now I'm putting sugar on top, as you can see. It's all approximation, you don't need to measure it because this is to draw out the water. And now I'm putting some plain flour, as you can see. Now the next thing I'll do is mix it all together. It's all nicely coated with sugar and flour, and now we're going to leave it like this for next 30 minutes or so while we make the dough for the pasty. And to make the dough for the pasty, all we need is some plain flour and some, you can use strong white flour or normal white flour, that's fine. And just remember how much ever grams you take, half of that it needs to be butter. So for example, if you take 200 grams of flour, you will need 100 grams of butter, which is taken right from the fridge, cut into cubes. And for our apple pie, I'm going to use around 600 grams of flour to 300 grams of butter. That's because I'm going to make multiple and big apple pies. I'm sure in your case you might need to reduce the quantity by at least half. I've added the flour into the processor, and now I'll add the butter, and then we might also need a few tablespoons of water, nice chilled water, to just get it all together. The butter's gone in now, and I'll give it a few whiz and it'll all come together. Process it till it starts resembling seems to be like breadcrumbs, and that's when you need to start adding the chilled water till it all comes together. Ensure that you do not put too much water. As you can see, it's all come together, nice consistency. So I'll make it into a dough ball and cover it with a cling film and let it rest in the fridge for next around 20 to 30 minutes, which reminds me I need to cover this as well. So in about 30 minutes time we should be ready to bring it all together and put it in the oven. There it is, all got together into a dough ball and ready to go into the fridge for around 20 to 30 minutes. Now while that's all waiting, I'm planning to make some baked samosas as well. This is my first attempt at making baked samosas, so I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I've got some potatoes boiling on the gas, and this is again plain flour. I'm going to put loads of oil in it and again bring it back to a breadcrumb type consistency, and then put some water and make a nice dough. But for this particular, for samosas, you will definitely need to add some salt into the flour as well. The filling would be potatoes, peas, and some garam masala and salt, and possibly grated ginger if I have some. So I will we'll see once this dough has been made. As you can see, this has to be done by hand. I've just put oil and I'm bringing it all together. For Indian samosas, we put some ajwain, which is also called carom seeds. Of course, you can avoid this altogether if you don't like. As the dough is ready, I'll just coat it with oil, cover it with cling film and leave it to rest. So the apples are getting ready. The samosa dough is being prepared and it's resting, and so is the apple pie dough resting nicely in the fridge. This would be a very nice time to tidy up. As you can see, everything is now nice and tidy. Well, I made my son tidy everything up. Well, he helped me cut the apples, put lime juice and helped me a lot, as well as tidying up. So now these are boiled potatoes which I'm going to peel. Now these are for the samosas, not for the apple pie. As you can see, the potatoes are all peeled now. What I'm going to do now is finely chop the potatoes, mix it with some garam masala, salt, grated ginger and frozen peas, and this will become the stuffing for the samosa. And before I do that, I better tidy up this mess. Tip of the day: if you keep tidying up as you go along, by the time you have finished cooking, you will have a tidy kitchen. As you can see, I've started making the mixture for the samosas. So there's potatoes and peas, and I'm sure you can see grated ginger, and I've also added salt. All we need to do is mix it together, preferably with hand. Now you might ask, why have I taken frozen peas as opposed to cooked peas? The reason being, while you deep fry a samosa, or in this case when you bake it in the oven for 25 to 30 or 40 minutes, that's enough time for the peas to get cooked. We don't want peas to be overcooked, do we? Just added some garam masala as well on it. Now to make a samosa, you need some preparations. You need something where you can roll it, a rolling pin, some water. This is required once you have made the shape of the samosa, to stick it all together, somewhere to keep the samosa and the dough and the fillings handy. First you roll out the dough. As you see, you roll out the dough, not round but in this shape, and you cut it from the middle. Take one half, keep it on the other side, and roll this way, this way, this way and that way, so it still maintains the shape but becomes a little bit bigger. I'll tell you why very soon. As you can see, now I have rolled it. It's a bit long. You apply some water on one side, take the other side like this, bring the other side up here, so we can create a nice cone. It's very difficult to do it with a camera in my hand and just working with one hand, so I'll pause it for a second. As you can see, once you have done it, just stick it all together. There's a nice cavity in here to put in your fillings. Once you have filled it, just stick it all together. As you can see, I've now filled it in. Now I'm going to close it this way, and then stick it all together. Of course, I'll try to do it with one hand, but it's best to use both your hands, and you get a nice samosa shape. Okay, but I would never recommend one hand. I would always recommend two hand. Stick it all together. We don't want any holes, but this can directly be deep fried now. or as I'm going to try for the first time, bake it. Healthy samosa, eh? You do the same with the other half and rest of the dough. So you have all the samosas ready. If you're only making samosas, this will be the right time to preheat your oven. But as I'm going to make the apple pie as well, before I start assembling the apple pie, I shall turn on the oven. So everything can go in the oven in one go. Who says men can't multitask? I've been making apple pie, samosas, and recording the whole episode at the same time. As you can see, I have done quite a few, just a couple more left, and then I should get on to the apple pie. If you can see, more clearly, there's lots of liquid below. That would mean the apple has started releasing its juices, and don't worry if it's liquid. When it cooks, because of the flour, the juices will thicken up. That's all now ready to go into the oven, but of course we'll wait for the apple pie. And I'm not planning to make the massive apple pie, but I'm planning to make small individual ones so it can be packed and given to kids for in their lunch box. And as you can see, some samosas are small and some are large. That's deliberate because the small samosas are good for kids lunch boxes, and I like to have big samosas. Take a pie dish, and I'll use the worktop to roll the dough. As you can see, I've taken the dough out of the fridge, and ensure that it's not in the fridge for more than 20-25 minutes. As you can see, I have now rolled out a big pasty base. Now I said I'm going to make small pasties, but my kids and wife convinced me that that might not be a good idea because they want a proper pie, and hence I'm making a big pie in a big pie dish. And also, as you can see, there'll be leftover dough, and with the leftover dough I'm going to make some cheese and onion pasty so they can have some additional stuff in their lunchbox. Also, all the apple is in the pie. I've covered it and I made some holes on the top so there's plenty of space for the steam to go. The samosas are ready. I'm gonna make some cheese and onion pasty as well and then put it all into the oven. I'll give it a egg wash so that it'll look nice when it comes out of the oven, but that's optional. You can use milk if you are a vegetarian. And as my son keeps reminding me, just don't say that this is for the lunchbox, say that this is healthy lunchbox. So baked samosas and baked cheese and onion pasty and homemade. It's all homemade, so it's healthy and no additives. All this will go into the oven and hopefully come out great. But this video will end here, and I will try and put some photos on this YouTube channel, and hopefully you will try this sometimes and do let me know how it's all come up. I would be very eager to get any of your comments, good or bad, how it went, etc., so as to enable me to do it better the next time. Also, it would be great if you let me know what you would like to see in this channel, and I will try and make those recipes for you. These things, there are no specific times, so it just needs to get into the oven for at 160 degrees centigrade for say around 40 minutes, but just keep checking occasionally. It all depends on the size of the oven and the number of items that goes into the oven. In this case, it will be the samosas and the pie and also the pasty. Thank you. Thanks for watching.